Good morning, everyone. It is Thursday, March the 19th, 2020. It is currently 10:51 a.m. Central Time. And I'm tempted to say, what else can happen? But I'm afraid to actually ask that question because I feel like that if I ask the question, what else can happen, that about 5 minutes later, something completely unexpected will happen. So I don't want to borrow any trouble. No, I'm not superstitious. No, I don't believe that's how things work. I don't believe my words can create a reality. I believe God is sovereign. God is in control, and all things works according to his sovereign decrees and his providence. We'll talk about that. I have the Westminster Confession of Faith over here to my right. We may talk about that in just a minute, but wow, what? I don't even know what to say. I don't even know where to begin. If you were listening to us live last night, my message stopped abruptly. It just stopped. You were listening, and next thing you know, it's over. What happened? Well, because the power got knocked out. Yes. Let me explain what's going on. Obviously. Okay. I mean, I can't ignore the big story, right? The coronavirus continues to spread. People continues to die. We've got a global pandemic on our hands. Businesses are being shut down. A major upheaval to the economy. All kinds of things are happening. And of course, in the midst of all of that, churches are being impacted because there are restrictions on how many people can gather in one location. In some places, it's gatherings are not allowed of any more than 10 or more people. Those kinds of gatherings are not allowed. Other places, it's 30. Some places, it's 50. Whatever state you're in, whatever city you live in, you'll have to look at your local area, local news to find out what restrictions are in place for your area. And that is greatly impacting churches. So churches can't meet together in the traditional way. In other words, people cannot pull up in the parking lot, walk through the front door, and come into the building. So churches are turning to live streaming, or at least they should be turning to live streaming, in order to preach the word of God, to feed the flock, to equip Christians. And listen, it doesn't matter if it's a global pandemic. It doesn't matter what is happening. Churches still have a responsibility to preach the word of God in season, out of season, feed the flock, equip the saints that they're no longer children tossed to and fro with every wind of doctrine. We have a responsibility, and we have to meet that responsibility no matter what is going on around us. Now, this is creating some very strange situations because it's easy to say, yeah, just live stream. Yeah, no problem. But you have to imagine the situation. Here you are as a pastor. You're like, okay, so I'm going to go up to my church. I mean, just think about this coming Sunday. I'm going to pull up in the parking lot here at Victory Baptist Church. That's where I'm currently sitting, if you do not know. I'm going to pull up in the parking lot, and it's going to be empty. I'm going to walk to the front door, use my key, walk into an empty building. And then when the Sunday school hour starts, I will hit the go live button by myself. I will then teach for an hour, walk back, hit stop. Okay. Make sure that gets uploaded. Wait about 10, 15 minutes, try to get myself ready. Then teach for the morning worship service for about an hour. Hit the stop button, make sure that's uploaded. Get everything together, go home. Then come back Sunday evening to the same empty building and then teach for an hour. So 3 hours of teaching on Sunday to an empty building. It's going to be strange. It's going to be weird. And so yesterday I was trying to wrap my mind around what this is going to look like if I do this, from March. And let's say, and again, I'm saying if this occurs, there's lots of speculation. Nobody really knows for sure. But if this kind of restrictions stay in place, these kinds of suggestions from the CDC and the government stay in place all the way through August, which some have suggested is a possibility, I'm going to be doing that week after week after week after week. And this will actually be listening and all of the other issues. I talked about this yesterday. I'm not going to talk about everything again. But I was trying to wrap my mind around all of this. So I came up here to Victory Baptist Church because I was preparing to live stream for the Wednesday evening service. I came up here and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do some live streaming prior to the Wednesday evening service to try to get some more teaching out there, to get some more thoughts out there. And I tried. And, well, the local area got hit with a thunderstorm. All right, now I'm here in West Texas, so not completely out of question. But, all right, got hit with a thunderstorm while I was live streaming, and the power went off. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. So there is take number one. There's attempt number one. That message, I had to go get everything deleted, and then I started over. And I got that message completed, 59 minutes of my message to the churches. You should definitely listen to it. Members of Victory Baptist Church, you definitely need to listen to it because it's definitely directed towards you. I get that completed, and I'm like, okay, good. Now, it's around 6:45, 6:50, and I'm sitting here in the church, and I can see the windows, and I'm like, it's getting dark out there. And there's some rumblings of thunder, and I'm like, I don't know what I should do here. Now, what I should have done is stopped what I was doing and checked the radar, checked everything, and kind of find out which direction the storm was moving. But I'm like, it's almost 7 o'clock. So at about 7:02 p.m. Central Time, last night here in Ovalo, Texas, I went live on the air. And as I was trying to get my message, as I was trying to get the message going, and doing my introduction, getting everything set up, I was trying to focus on talking, but I kept looking outside and I'm like, whoa, it is like pitch black now. What is going on? And then I could just see that like, this is not good. I could see the lightning. I could hear the rumbling of the thunder. The front door of the church started like rattling, like it was about to just fly open. And I'm like, No, please. So I'm trying to talk normally. And I'm like, this can't be happening. It's going to happen again. The power's going to go off. So I gave a warning that the power could go off. And then all of a sudden, boom, power goes off. I'm sitting here in total darkness. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me, right? So obviously I'll lose internet connection. I don't have a clue what's going on. I just know it looks bad. So I gather everything together. I get all of the equipment together and I'm like, okay, how am I going to get to the front door to the car without destroying my microphone, without destroying everything? So I'm sitting there trying to cover everything, run to the car, get everything in the car. And I'm like, okay, I'm in a building with no power, sitting in complete darkness. I'm just going to try to get out of here. I didn't really think about it at the time. I thought it was a good idea, but I get in the car and I'm like, okay. I'm in the car. Everything's good. All right. I have no way to contact anyone because I don't have a cell phone. I have no internet connection out here, so I can't use my iPad to FaceTime or text anyone. All right. I'm like, okay, here we go. I've got to get out of here because it's getting worse by the second. So I get in the car and I'm like, okay, instead of going through Tuscola, I'll take the back way. So I take off down the Farm Market Road that's going to ultimately come out on the major highway. And as I'm driving down I think it's Farm Market Road, County Road, whatever it's called. As I'm driving down the road, it's coming down. Rain is coming down. But I can still see the road. I've got the wipers on high, but I can see the road. I think I know where I'm going. So I'm a little concerned. There's a little bit of concern. The road obviously is covered in water, so I got to reduce the speed so I'm not hydroplaning. But, I'm a little concerned, but I think, probably should have just stayed in the building. But I'm thinking, okay, I still need to get home, make sure everyone is safe there, make sure everything is okay at home. So, and everyone's going to be worried about me and I can't contact anyone. Okay, I'm making the right decision. So I'm kind of having this internal conversation with myself, all right? And so I get all the way to the end of the county road, the Farm Market Road, whatever it's called, and I get to the highway. And I'm like, okay, all right, I'm here. I turn left to start my journey back to Abilene, Texas. All right, for the first, couple of minutes, it seems okay. And then all of a sudden, I don't know how strong the wind was, but it literally, basically, it felt like the car lifted off the ground. It's what it felt like. And the next thing you know, I was on the road and I'm literally almost off the road. I'm literally over like in the grass. And I'm like, okay, get back on the road. Okay. And I'm like, I can't just stop here because literally at this point, I can't even see the road. I can't see if I'm in the right lane and the left lane. I don't know where the lane is. I literally can't see anything. So I try to maneuver to what I think is the middle of the highway. I think this is the middle of the highway, and I just start driving right down the middle of the highway. And I can't even describe to you how hard the wind was blowing. I was trying my best to just keep the car on the road. I wanted to pull over and stop, but literally I knew if there was any cars or trucks coming behind me, they wouldn't see me. So the only thing I can do is press on. The only thing I can do is move forward. And so I'm thinking, okay. Now on this highway 83, 84, there's been road construction going on. It feels like for the last 75 years, even though I'm not that old, it feels like that. So I'm driving. And then all of a sudden they have these barrels and these different things that are, supposed to be, telling you not to go in this lane. Barrels and things start flying across the road. And I'm like, okay, this is not good. This is not good. I'm like, I was an idiot. I should have stayed in the building until this thing passed. I made a mistake, and now I'm not going to make it home. I'm thinking, so this is how it ends. I'm going to die on Highway 83, 84 on my way back to Abilene, Texas, because my Wednesday evening service got knocked off the air because of a severe storm. I'm like, okay, this is not the way I was going to write the end of the story, but this is the way it goes. Because I'm telling you, at times it felt like the car was coming off the road. So I get close to the exit. I make it off the exit, and by the time I get to the exit to where my house is, basically I had gotten past the severe part of the storm. It moved off in a different direction, and so I get home, everything's okay, and I'm like, whew, wow, made it through that. Okay, I said that was crazy. I get home, and everything is relatively calm. Everything is relatively calm until about 1 a.m. In fact, I've got the timeline here. Here's what happened this morning, all right? This morning, here's what occurs. Here's the timeline. At 1:15 a.m., 6 miles south of Merkel near County Road 360, tornado. At 1:27 a.m., a tornado is reported a mile east of Ty. At 1:34 a.m., 2 tornadoes reported near Ty in the Reister Park area by Dyess Air Force Base. Now, all of these, especially when you get to Dyess Air Force Base, you're getting closer to where I live. So at 1:15 a.m., we have 1 tornado near Merkel. At 1:27 a.m., a tornado reported a mile east of Ty. At 1:34 a.m., 2 tornadoes reported near Ty in the Reister Park area by Dyess Air Force Base. Now, I'm listening to all of this last night on a police scanner, all right? And it's just crazy. 1:38 a.m., tornado reported an impact northwest of Abilene. At 1:47 a.m., a tornado reported in Hamby, Jones County area near Abilene prison units. 1:50 a.m., a tornado reported northwest of Hamby near County Road 152. 2:14 a.m., tornado reported in Albany. Now, no injuries have been reported in connection to these tornadoes, and most damage, especially to structures, was not extensive. But there was a total of 7 tornadoes overnight. Now, I don't know what I drove through. It definitely felt like I was in the middle of maybe not a tornado, but some like straight line winds. It was crazy. And I apologize. That's my iPad. People texting. My family texts me while I'm on the air. They love to do that. So, all right. So that's what happened. Like I said, what I was driving through, I can't even, I don't even know what it was, but it was crazy. It was crazy. And I'm obviously thankful that these tornadoes did not do any extensive damage to people's homes, that no one was injured. I am grateful for that, but it just feels like that it just feels like that things continue to just get crazier by the second. I mean, whether it's tornadoes, a global pandemic, if you've seen the locust in certain parts of Africa, if you've seen the videos of that situation over there, that is insane. I think I did a podcast about that situation. That's just crazy. We've got the economic upheaval. People are worried about their jobs. People are trying to figure out what they're going to do. All kinds of things are happening, and it just feels like everything is spiraling a little bit out of control. And that's a good thing. Now listen what I'm about to say. Remember, when I say something is good, I can be speaking of something good from a spiritual perspective. I am not in any way arguing that the negative ramifications and death, destruction, and all the harm happening to lives, I'm not saying that is good. I'm saying in the midst of that destruction, that death, that upheaval, that there can be some spiritual good that comes from it. And I think when the world feels like it's spiraling out of control, the good that comes from it is it destroys man's pride and them thinking that they are in control. We're not in control. All right. If you haven't caught on, we're not in control. And as I said yesterday, whatever plans we think we have, those plans, sound good and look good until you get punched in the face. And right now, life is punching us all in the face. And Christians are going to have to really think about how we're going to handle these situations. Churches have to figure out how they're going to handle these situations. And we really, 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 really need to hold to and cling to, hopefully, a good theology. And so I was thinking about this. I have here in front of me, chapter 5? Chapter 5 of the Westminster Confession of Faith. Chapter 5 of the Westminster Confession of Faith. This is of providence. Of providence. And this is how paragraph 1 in chapter 5 of the Westminster Confession of Faith reads. God, the great creator of all things. Now listen carefully. God, the great creator of all things, doth uphold, direct, dispose, and govern all creatures, actions, and things, from the greatest even to the least, by his most wise and holy providence, according to his infallible foreknowledge, and the free and immutable counsel of his own will, to the praise of the glory of his wisdom, power, justice, goodness, and mercy. Let me read that again. God, the great creator of all things, doth uphold, direct, dispose, and govern all creatures, actions, and things, from the greatest even to the least, by his most wise and holy providence, according to his infallible foreknowledge, and to the free and immutable counsel of his own will, to the praise of the glory of his wisdom, power, justice, goodness, and mercy. Simply put, God is in charge of everything. He works everything out according to his will, and he does so for his glory. God is in control. He works everything out according to his will, not your will, not my will, but he does so for his glory. Now, as he's working things out for his glory, in the process, he will work things out for our spiritual good. We have a very wrong perspective. We see everything through the lens of the here and now. When we speak of good, we want good now, right? We want the good to benefit our material life, our physical life. We want to benefit our financial life. We think when we quote that verse, all things work together for good. We define good through our perspective, and we see good in relation to here and now. God works all things out because he's sovereign, so through his providence, he's in control of all things. He's working everything according to his will for his glory. And what glorifies him is our spiritual good. He is focused on eternity. He is focused on our souls. He is focused on our spiritual condition. I think that we have the wrong definition of good sometimes, and we have a perspective that focuses not on eternity, not on our soul, not on our spiritual condition, but on what we feel and see right now. But we need to trust in God's providence. And I know right now it doesn't feel like God is in control. It does, but remember, truth is not dependent upon our feelings. How we feel is irrelevant. God is God. God is sovereign. God works all things out according to his plan. He is sovereign. I know there's some Christians who downplay the sovereignty of God, but God is in charge. And please understand, I do not want you to think in any way, shape, or form that I'm not aware of the philosophical problems this produces, because if God is in charge, you're like, wait a minute, he's working everything according to his plan and his will. And there's a global pandemic, so somehow this fits in to God's plan and God's will. Well, if it doesn't, then God is not in charge. If there's things running around outside of God's control, then clearly God is not sovereign. And if God is not sovereign, then he ceases to be God. It's an important perspective to have, but I want you to see that perspective of the spiritual good that can be derived from this. We're not in charge. We're not in charge. We have no control. And we sometimes have the perception or the illusion that we are. And well, I had a plan. Come here last night and at least record for 2 hours or do a live broadcast for 2 hours, right? I'm like, hey, it's Wednesday night. Typically I teach for an hour. Let's give the people more than 1 hour of teaching. Let's give them at least 2. And that turned into, I only accomplished 1. Because, well, in fact, probably I would have ended up with probably closer to 3 hours of teaching if everything would have worked according to plan. But that did not happen because I'm not in charge. I'm not in control. If it was up to me, we wouldn't have to deal with, empty buildings and nobody meeting in churches. And I have to go through this weird idea of I've got to come up here 3 hours on Sunday to speak to an empty room. How do I teach? How do I preach? How am I going to work this? What do I do? What if people aren't listening? What if people aren't downloading? What do I do? Well, I know what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to feed the flock. I'm supposed to preach the word of God in season and out of season. We are not to forsake the assembly, even if that assembly is in some weird new way where we're meeting virtually online. We are still supposed to be there. In fact, go back to that passage. I read this last night. I think it's time to read it again. Hebrews chapter 10. I may be coming back to this a lot. And the reason I'm going to go to Hebrews is just remember the historical context. I mentioned this last night in a message. Let me mention it again. And it's perfectly okay to continue to remind ourselves of this. I think is very important. The reason I'm going to go to Hebrews is because it so fits our current situation. In the book of Hebrews, the writer, the author, is writing to Jewish believers, and he is warning them, preparing them for what is to come. If this is written around 66 AD, which is what many believe, 70 AD is fast approaching, and the world is going to feel like it's being destroyed because Jerusalem is about to be destroyed. The temple is about to be destroyed. And everything that makes up Judaism, sacrificial system, priestly system, all temple, all gone. It's all going to be destroyed and wiped off the face of the earth for all practical purposes. It's going to be gone. And so their world is going to be turned literally upside down. And he's reminding them, the writer of Hebrews is reminding them that, hey, look, all these things that you clinged on to, all of these things of Judaism, it was simply a shadow pointing to the ultimate thing, Jesus Christ. He is the high priest. He is our mercy seat. All these things that you know, we have Christ. We have a sacrifice. We don't need any more sacrifices. We have the one sacrifice offered once and for all to cleanse us of our sins. We don't need more. We have a high priest. We don't need all these other priestly situations. We have Christ. We have a sacrifice. We have all these things. So Hebrews is trying to help them know what to look to and what to turn to, and he gives them practical advice and how to conduct themselves leading up to this major earth-changing event that's coming in 70 AD. And he tells them, Hebrews 10:22, let us draw near with a true heart and full assurance of faith, having our hearts sprinkled from an evil conscience and our bodies washed with pure water. All right? And some may try to point that to baptism. We could get into a whole discussion of what that's referring to. Is it our bodies being washed with the word of God? We could have a discussion there. We may have to come back to that. Hebrews 10:23, let us hold fast the profession of our faith without wavering. If this is ever a time that you need to know your profession of faith, you need to know what you believe. You need to know the ancient confessions of faith. You need to know the ancient creeds. You need something simple that you can hold on to. The world seems to be spiraling out of control. Hold on to your profession of faith. Let us consider one another to provoke unto love and to good works. We need to try to provoke people to good work. Provoke. Look up what that word provoke means, okay? I think that's important. Verse 25, here it is. Not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together as the manner of some is, but exhorting one another, and so much the more as you see the day approaching. We need to be meeting even more. We need to be doing even more as we see the day approaching. Now, clearly that has reference to 70 AD, but I mean, look at what's happening in our world right now. I think we can make it applicable. We should be doing more. We should be doing more. But it seems that the suggestion of more is rejected by many. Well, we don't need to do more. We need to do more. I was just there's a news article. I think I'm going to do a podcast about this. There's a news article about in Vegas, Las Vegas. You got to give them credit. This is the difference between the world and Christians. Christians, well, we don't really have any specific rules. We can kind of do what we want. You can't say we have to do this. We can't have to do that, even though we've got scriptures about all the things the church is supposed to be doing. But when everything falls apart, it's like Christians want to lessen what we're supposed to be doing. But in Vegas, hey, they got to shut down strip clubs, right? They got to shut this. They got to shut everything down. But wait a minute. Someone's like, we got a new idea. Let's do a drive-through, basically strip show where you drive in, pay, and then you get to watch a woman or, possibly a man. I don't know exactly, who's going to be doing what, but you pay your money and you go in and, well, you can watch someone basically strip for you in your car. So you have social distancing going on. They found a way that, hey, we've got these restrictions. We're going to come up with a way. We're going to come up with a new way in order to continue to keep our business going. I think when money is involved, people get very creative. Maybe that's it. But as Christians, we should have something motivating us far more than money. We have the gospel. We have a biblical command. We have an example. We have the example of the early church meeting every single day. We have the biblical the command not to forsake and to be even more so as we see the day approaching, exhorting, teaching, feeding the flock. We have all of these biblical commands, and we have to do so no matter what is going on. No matter what is happening, we have to continue to move forward and come up with ways to get the word of God out there and to be teaching people, no matter what is happening. And yes, it was frustrating. I was so irritated. I mean, it's already frustrating enough to even this whole concept I'm trying to wrap my mind around. Coming up to an empty building, and how am I going to teach, and how am I going to preach, and how am I going to communicate this? And I trust me, I have a great fear. That 2 weeks into this, if this lasts till August, 2 weeks into this, people are going to be tuning out and in large numbers. It's going to be a small remnant of people who are still listening to sermons online. I have a feeling the majority are just going to tune church out and forget about God and move on with their lives and use it as an opportunity to please themselves. I talked about this yesterday, and I'm going to continue to talk about it. I think there's a grave spiritual danger sitting at the door here, and I think many people are ignoring it. But that's what happened yesterday. I know I'm saying a lot to tell the story, but that's okay. That's what happened. That's why the message ended the way it did. Now, today it's nice and sunny, and it's going to be 78 degrees, beautiful outside. So the storm is gone. The storm passed. And that's how storms happen in life, okay? Whatever, the coronavirus, at some point it's going to go away. All the difficulties that face you in life, they go away. And I'm sitting in a building. For those who don't know, I grew up not far from this building. In fact, if I pull out, I'm facing the highway right now. If I was to get in my car, go to the highway and turn right and start driving, I would run into Tuscola, Texas. And in Tuscola, Texas, there's a school called Jim Ned. And I went to school at Jim Ned High School. Hated every minute of it. I could tell you all kinds of stories. It was horrible. I try to forget that I even went to school there, but I can't. I wish if there was a way I could go in and have my 4 years of high school removed from my brain, I would have it removed from my brain so that I could, I wish I could have lived I wish the second I completed my high school education, I wish I could have just had high school removed from my brain, that like it never existed, because it was horrible. But if I was to get in the car and go back there, I can remember being in that, the high school, they built kind of a new high school on there, but the original building that I was in school in is still there. I don't know how it looks now on the inside. Don't care to know. But I remember being in that school and hearing the overhead page for me and my brother to report to the principal's office. And we walked into the principal's office, and we were told, right now, you need to get in a car and you need to get to Hendricks Hospital in Abilene, Texas, immediately. Immediately. It's your mother. You need to get there now. And I'll never forget walking into Hendricks Hospital, going up, I believe it was the second floor, taking a right. I can almost can see it in my mind, taking a right, walking around, being brought into the room, and there laid my mom on a hospital bed. One side of her body was almost twitching, kind of like almost like a seizure, but not a full-blown one. And the other side was just not moving, nothing. And basically, for all practical purposes, she was dead. Now, they were going to it was going to take like 72 hours. They had to continue to try to check the brain until they got no response, and then they would be able to pronounce her dead. But ultimately, for all practical purposes, she may not have been technically dead then, but she was never going to come back. And that was the end. That was the last time I ever saw my mother, other than at the funeral. I had them open her casket. I put a little a cross that I wore on her. And that was the last time I ever saw my mother. Now, that was a big storm in my life. Absolutely devastating. We could talk about everything that happened after that storm. Tried to kill myself, 8 weeks in a psychiatric hospital, craziness that occurred. But the storm passed. It passed. And you know what you have to do after? You have to do during and after. You got to keep moving. You got to keep walking forward. You have to keep going. And in the midst of all, and even though I went through a literal storm last night, it was very illustrative of what the globe is going through with this whole global pandemic and all the upheaval and everything. We have to just keep going in the midst of the storm. You have to keep going. Now, yes, in the middle of my storm when I was a teenager, and I could go through all the other storms that happened in my life, and so can you. And so can you. You can talk about those storms. Yes, I ended up basically having to take, a timeout for 8 weeks, but I still had to press on at some point in my life. I still had to walk out of that mental hospital, that psychiatric hospital, go back to school, finish my high school education, and move on. Now, things were still going to be rocky, and there was going to be lots of upheaval even after all of that. And, ups and downs and bad decisions. And I mean, my life has been filled with all kinds of craziness and bad ideas and bad decisions and failures. But you have to just get back up. And the church right now, we got to keep moving forward. We've got to keep moving forward. I feel like that I stated this yesterday, and I'm going to state it again. I feel like that there is such a wonderful spiritual opportunity sitting right in front of us. But I believe that there is a danger that is just waiting to just cause major spiritual problems in people's lives. But you can go listen to that message from yesterday. It's called A Message to the Churches. You can listen to that. You'll hear some of these same things, but so there you have it. I wanted to at least share all of that where people knew what happened. It's so frustrating. It really is so frustrating. But we'll see. And I just pray that churches got a plan. I hope churches have a plan, and I hope they can execute those plans. And I pray for churches. Pray for churches right now. Well, just pray for everyone. Everyone's got their own challenges and their own things. And I will say this to anyone listening. If there's anything spiritually I can do for you. I mean, if there's something you need to be taught, if there's something you want to study. I mean, if you're in isolation and if you can't go to work and the least you can do is listen to teaching. If there's some kind of teaching you need, email me at newsif@yahoo.com, newsif@yahoo.com, and I will do everything in my power to provide the best teaching I can to as many people as possible during this time. I don't know what other churches are going to do. I have a feeling, and I was voicing my frustration with this earlier today. I have a feeling that many churches are just going to be content with one live stream per week. Hey, it's Sunday. We'll do one live stream. I think that's an absolute joke. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's an embarrassment. And I don't care what people say. Who cares? People say, well, show me the verse that tells me. No, I've got plenty of Bible verses that say what the church is supposed to do. Equip saints. You don't equip saints with one message a week. Period. Okay, you don't. Feed the flock. You got to feed the flock. The flock can't just be fed once a week. It doesn't work, okay? It doesn't work that way. The early church met every single day. Do not forsake the assembly, even more so as we see the day approaching. We've got scriptural concepts there that really implore what the church is supposed to be doing and can give you some pretty good groundwork on how we're supposed to be conducting that. And, of course, then we have church history as well. I think churches really need to think about what are the people going to need. And what's going to happen is everyone's going to think everyone's just going to be okay, and then everyone's just going to be sitting at home not being spiritually fed, feeding their self with everything else, and then spiritually there's going to be a spiritual decline. There's going to be a regression, and it's going to and people are going to get so if this lasts through August, and I keep saying if with a major emphasis on the if. There's going to be so many people who are just going to be basically like, well, I haven't been to church since March. Obviously it didn't matter. I see all kinds of problems. But if your church is not doing anything of significance, let me know. I'll do everything I can. Now, your church needs to do it. You need to be talking to your church. You need to be talking to your elders. You need to be talking to your pastors and say, look, I may not be there, but I need to be fed the word of God. So please turn on a microphone and talk, right? You can do that, all right? They can do that. So implore them. But if they don't, I will do everything in my power to fill in the gap. But for my people, I'm going to do everything I can to feed you the word of God. That's my responsibility. I'm going to do my best to do that. If you have any ideas, there's something you want to hear. Okay, I sound like a DJ. Hey, we're taking requests at 1-888, call in now, right? Yeah, I feel like I'm a DJ. I'll be playing that song coming up in 15 minutes right here on FM 188 or whatever. Okay. So you would actually say the number, and then FM, not FM first, but it's okay. What FM the movie? Okay, all right. No, I'm getting. I could go all day about radio and different ways it's worked, but now, in a way, it is taking requests. If there's something I can do, because I've got to figure out how I'm going to do this. I mean, do I just preach a traditional sermon? I guess I could. I'm going to try to be creative. And if you heard my message last night, what it was completely different, because my message last night, I wasn't even standing at the pulpit. I decided to sit here at this table with this mic, not my wireless mic. And we were going to play part of a sermon and talk about, I was going to do all kinds of different things. So, yeah, we're going to have to be creative. So people saying, hey, this is what I would like to hear, or hey, what about this, or what about that, literally could be very helpful to all pastors, not just me, every pastor. Let them know what you need. Let them know what you want, because it may give them a creative idea. Oh, we could do this. Oh, wait, we could do this. All they need is a microphone and an internet connection. It's all they need. They could catechize. Right? Teach the catechism. They could pull out the confession of faith of their church and teach that. They could do all kinds of things. So let's be creative during this storm, this global pandemic. All right, I'll stop right there. That's what happened. I'll be back here. Let's see. I'm going to do some more live streaming, so we'll be back here shortly. So stay tuned. Let everyone know that Victory Baptist Church is live streaming, and we're more than ready to talk about whatever you want us to talk about. All right, I'll be back shortly. Everyone have a great day. Remember, you can always email me at newsif@yahoo.com, newsif@yahoo.com. Please be safe. Please be safe. Be informed about what's happening in the world right now. Yes, wash your hands. Yes, social distancing. I think that's going to be the phrase of 2020. Follow the rules, follow the directions, take precautions, be smart, don't panic, no worry and anxiety, just caution, thoughtfulness, be careful, all of those types of things. All right, everyone have a great day. I'll be back shortly. God bless.